Chapter 288, My Spirit Pet. Both parties had their own thoughts, but they were also cultivating happily. Another 10 days passed, 20 days, 30 days. Bai Yuer's realm was consolidated, and Songshi's cultivation had reached the perfected golden core realm. He began to attempt to condense his nascent soul. The key to the next realm was the combination of yin and yang. It nurtured life in the golden core and used the spirit as the foundation. It fused with nomological power and essence to condense a nascent soul, a special existence that transcended pure nomological power and body. It could be said to be a second life. This not only involved the accumulation of nomological power, but also the comprehension of the yin-yang Tao. Without sufficient accumulation and enlightenment, it was very difficult to cross this hurdle. Therefore, many martial artists without talent lacked the help of spiritual roots and lacked connate. They could only choose to fuse nomological power into their bodies and cultivate their bodies like demons. They could also nurture essence souls or even shatter the void with their bodies. Of course, this step was much more difficult than cultivating to the nascent soul realm. Therefore, be it body refinement warriors or demons, their cultivation speed was very slow. Of course, he did not need to consider this. Not to mention his talent and comprehension, even when he was possessed. He had devoured Yi Wenzhong's soul and directly obtained the insights of the nascent soul realm. This step was basically not difficult. He only needed to use his own strengths and abilities to nurture a nascent soul. At this moment, with the help of a soul transformation cultivator, his golden core easily began to transform. Bai Yuer sensed that Songshi's golden core seemed to have a life of its own. Although she had not condensed a nascent soul, she had seen a nascent soul before and was immediately shocked. So fast, no bottlenecks at all? She was shocked. The other party did not seem to be breaking through at all. He was simply recovering his cultivation, yet he seemed to be able to easily condense a nascent soul. I've consolidated my realm. I need to increase my cultivation speed to break through in half a month. You should reduce your strength for the time being. As Bai Yuer spoke, her suction force increased, swallowing most of Songshi's original strength, leaving only a little so that his body could function normally. You've gone a little too far. Songshi, who was condensing his nascent soul, lost his strength and looked dissatisfied. You need to settle down for a while. Don't rush to break through. I'm doing this for your own good. Bai Yuer said righteously, accumulating more time will help you build a stronger foundation. Songshi only chuckled, in any case, I can't beat you, so I'll do whatever you say. He had no choice but to start adjusting his state and polishing his foundation. He realized that there was indeed something he could improve on. However, compared to leveling up directly, this kind of polishing was really boring. See, you can continue to polish your foundation, right? Bai Yuer chuckled. Songshi could not be bothered to speak. He was thinking that once he eventually controlled her spirit, he could play with her however he wanted and in whatever position he wanted. Next, Bai Yuer was afraid of Songshi's breakthrough and tried her best to ensure that Songshi would not obtain too much power. She devoured most of it and her cultivation level continued to increase at a relatively fast speed. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. As the dual cultivation went on for a long time, they became more familiar with each other. Bai Yuer gradually let down her guard and felt that this man was completely under her control, with Songshi taking the initiative to provide her with high-grade spirit stones and absorbing 99% of the power of the dual cultivation. Bai Yuer's cultivation level increased to the peak of the mid-stage soul transformation realm when there was still a month before the half-year period she had agreed to with the Black Snake Demon Venerable. After accumulating for another half a month, Bai Yuer was ready to break through. Stop for a moment. I'm going to clear a checkpoint. Bai Yuer took the initiative to stop the dual cultivation. She glanced at Songshi and hesitated for a moment. In the end, she waved her hand and froze Songshi. Then, she mobilized all the energy in her body and began to break through to the late-stage soul transformation realm. As long as she succeeded, her cultivation level would be ranked among the top in the entire boundless continent, second only to a few perfected stage existences. The old black snake will then no longer have the qualifications to snatch this man from her. Bai Yuer was filled with anticipation and confidence as she thought about this. There was still half a month. She would definitely be able to do it. At the critical moment when she was breaking through the bottleneck, the frozen Songshi emitted a golden light. This light was similar to the light of the true fire, but much more advanced and holy. The power of ice was melted by the golden light, and Songshi instantly regained his freedom. The spirit command talisman that he had prepared earlier was activated, and he instantly appeared in front of Bai Yuer. What? Bai Yuer, who was breaking through, sensed the abnormality. Just as she opened her eyes, she saw a stream of light hit her glabella. Then, dense runes surged out and invaded her spiritual sea. She turned pale with fright and pushed Songshi back with a palm strike. She roared, "You plotted against me. You've slept me to death so many times. What's me plotting against you this once?" Songshi landed steadily and was not injured. He looked indifferently at Bai Yuer's glabella that was enveloped by a spiderweb-like rune. With a casual wave of his hand, formation flags flew out one after another. When they passed by a specific location, ripples appeared. Then, they entered and disappeared. "I'll kill you." Bai Yuer wanted to get up and freeze Songshi. Before she could circulate much nomological power, her body trembled violently and her face turned pale. She felt as if her head had exploded. "Ah!" She let out a miserable scream and almost fell to the ground. She half knelt on the ground and said angrily, "What did you do to me?" The spirit command talisman can directly control living beings. It's effective against those below the soul transformation realm. You happen to be at the upper limit. Songshi said calmly, "Be a good spirit pet for me. There will be a lot of chances for you to become an immortal in the future. You hid such a thing, but I didn't notice it." Bai Yuer stared at Songshi indignantly and hurriedly formed a seal to control the crowd control array formation. However, the array formation in the palace only distorted for a moment and did not listen to her. "Do you want to use this palace's array formation to help?" "It's useless. I've already controlled the array formation." Songshi formed a seal, and the surrounding array formations released their power to envelop Bai Yuer. The latter said in a panic, "How is that possible? This is a formation passed down from my clan's ancestors. What's wrong with knowing? I know how the array formation works. Can't I just break it by myself?" Songshi grinned. "Do you think I've only been cultivating with you for the past 6 months?" Bai Yuer panicked even more. She turned around and disappeared, wanting to escape. Bang! Shuas bounced out by a barrier at the door. Her own door was actually blocking her. She could only scream, "Elders, Black Snake! Stop shouting! Didn't old Black Snake after making an agreement with you? As for calling his clansmen, it's useless even if you scream your lungs out. The array formation here is already under my control. Not to mention that you can't send out any news. Even if you can, they won't be able to enter." Songshi's words made Bai Yuer's heart sink. No matter how she thought about it, she could not imagine that she would be plotted against by a prisoner in her lair. "You've been lying to me all along. All that talk about dual cultivation and high-tier spirit stones were just an act. In the end, it was all to plot against me." She looked resentful. "Lie to you? Didn't you get many benefits? Or were you really going to let me be your husband?" Songshi mocked, "You only treat me as your cultivation tool. Why can't I turn you into my spirit pet? Since everyone is not innocent, let's not talk about this anymore. Just accept your fate." He released a stream of nomological power and the spirit command talisman shone brightly. Bai Yuer's entire body was wrapped in runes, causing her nomological power to lose control. With a scream, she revealed her true form and turned into a big white snake. However, although her body was huge, her head was still covered in runes. The most terrifying thing was that when Songshi raised his hand and formed a seal, she began to cooperate with the power of the spirit command talisman to be controlled.